Hey everyone, we're getting ready to start Lifelines in 3. Good evening everyone, it's Annie Clark. Welcome to our 60th broadcast of Lifelines here on Z93, today's best hits. We are honored to be here tonight with special guests in the studio, and we are going to be talking about the second annual now Out of the Darkness Walk, which is this Saturday, and we will get into that in just a moment. But before we do, I'd like to say hi to Andrea.
Hello.
What are you doing over there?
I am just making sure we're on the air.
Oh.
Looky there, we are. I'm so excited.
I think we are on the air. Are we on the air? Somebody tell me, are we on the air? If you're out there, are we on the air? How you doing, partner?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. I'm out of hair mode and into Lifelines mode, and ready to have a very, very great show and a very important show tonight.
Yes.
Very important show tonight.
Yes.
Would you like to make any announcements before we start?
Sure.
Last week's callers.
Sure. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about last week's callers. We had 2. We had Ruby who called in. Ruby is 16 and she's been in the foster care system and is now back with her biological family, but feeling like she's messing up a lot and feeling like a stranger in her own house and like she's worthless. And unfortunately that is so true in regard to how a lot of foster kids feel when they move around quite a bit. And you offered some really beautiful guidance to her, and Ruby was appreciative of that and felt like she was going to hopefully increase the amount of times that she could see her counselor from 2 weeks to once every 2 weeks to once a week, which would be great. Beautiful step, honoring herself and helping her increase that self-worth. So we were very, happy to hear from her. And
Did Ruby, I didn't write it down, did she say how many foster care homes she had been in?
She did not.
Okay.
She did not. But then we had Austin call in, and Austin is 21, and he was really feeling for Ruby, as well as sharing with us his story, and that it does get better. He was in foster care most of his life. He was in 47 different foster care homes, and so he was calling asking for some guidance in regard to what he was responsible for with his parents. Because his parents struggle with addiction, and he'd like to see his grandmother, but he's having a difficult time with that relationship with his parents.
Right.
I was wondering what his responsibility of care was, and you had some great thoughts for him there as well. And I really hope that both Ruby and Austin reach out to us again.
Right. Thank you. Yes, Ruby and Austin, thank you again for stepping up on behalf of yourselves last week. Ruby, I hope that you have spoken with your parents, and that maybe you can increase your frequency of seeing your counselor. And please, you can call into the show. That's what this is for. You can call into the show anytime and have support, because we're here to support you. And Austin, same with you. We talked about some getting clear on how you felt about having a relationship with your biological parents with their addictions, and I was super impressed that you were able to get honest about a very tough truth, that their lifestyle doesn't fit yours, and we are so willing to help you coach a little bit more when and if the time comes, because his grandmother lives near his parents, which is 8 hours away, and he's 21 years old. He's been in 47 foster care homes, and half of them had horrific experiences, and he's now doing very well, but was feeling torn between feeling responsible for being a son to his parents, which he did his very best to express the fact that he isn't comfortable and isn't comfortable and doesn't want to have to be responsible for that. So
Right.
so good job, you guys. Good job. That's not even fair to say it like that.
Right. Just so thankful
Mhm.
that you took the step to take care of yourselves and call in,
Right,
and that you continue to do that.
right.
Take a little step, a baby step every single day.
And we're grateful for the foster care system. I worked in the foster care system in college. It was part of my internship, and I worked in Lansing, Michigan. And it is very challenging because there's at first and foremost, kids need to be removed from the environment, but they're not always being placed in a better environment.
Right.
And I can speak firsthand with my experience over the last 2.5 years with all of our community mental health, child protective services, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, DHHS, Disability Network, Brickways. There are so many amazing people out there, our guest here on the show tonight, that are out there supporting people, and it's not a perfect world, and they're overloaded with cases, and they're overloaded with trauma, and my heart goes out to everyone who helps support people that are in need. And so Austin, 47 foster care homes,
Goodness.
and experienced, I won't say it on the air, but not such good, and Ruby's still struggling, and so and we just have to everybody play their part, and hopefully tonight's going to help a little bit to help people get educated. There's help out there, there's support out there, there's counselors out there, there's trained professionals out there, there's churches out there, there is help all around. And the one thing that Andrea and I, one of the main purposes for this show is we get in the alone zone, and we don't show always signs and symptoms, and we want to help people, and Janine's going to talk tonight, continue to help people with this show. The first thing to do is to reach out.
Absolutely.
And it's the hardest thing. I've been there for a different reason, and it's one of the hardest things to do.
Yes.
And so without any further ado, we'll make our other announcements later in the show, but I want to introduce Janine Wardy. And we had the pleasure of meeting Janine and Ron. They reached out to us last year when our show was very new.
Mm-hmm.
And they would what's your title, please?
I'm a field advocate,
Okay.
which is a fancy name for a volunteer for the
Okay.
American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And
You're way more than that.
Oh, thank
But
you.
go ahead.
And I'm the chairperson, along with my husband Ron, for the Traverse City Out of the Darkness Walk.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And last year we were honored to have them here. They reached out to us, and look what happened.
Yes.
And we sat together on the show last year, and it was the inaugural first ever in Northern Michigan Out of the Darkness Walk.
Right.
They had hoped to have a couple hundred people, and you had 15 or over 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Right. Close to 1,500 people.
Yes, and you had hoped to raise last year,
20 or 30,000.
and you raised
Over $90,000 for mental health awareness and suicide prevention.
Amazing.
Beyond.
Yes.
Beyond. Yes, we live in an amazing giving community here in Northern Michigan, and a community that showed us last year that this is needed. This conversation, this type of an event is needed for people to find hope.
right,
And that's what we're about.
right.
Letting people know that we need to hold on to hope. We need to find hope and hold on to it.
Tell us about the event. It's this Saturday, September 14th. This year it is at the open space.
Yes, we are at the open space this year. Very excited about being right there on the water. There's something about being on the water, calming and relaxing, and so we're really excited about being in that space this year. So we're just a couple days out. My husband and I are continue to be very passionate about mental health awareness and suicide prevention. We unfortunately joined this club it'll be 4 years on September 29th that we lost our son Zechariah. He was 25. He had an illness. He had severe depression, which is a mental illness, and very, very strong physically, but mentally not strong enough to beat those demons.
Right.
And so this is his voice. We do it for him and for the others that have lost their battle and no longer have a voice. So we knew very early on after losing Zach that this was exactly what he would want us to be doing. Talking about it, talking about his story and our story, and in doing so, saving lives. And we know we have our work and our stories. We do know that we are saving lives with the work that we're doing. And we have an amazing committee that works around us that all have lived experience. They've all lost someone to suicide, and they're working hard too to have this event here in Northern Michigan again, and we're thrilled to have them around us. So looking forward to a beautiful day, sunny and 71 right now it says. So you know, it could change, but we're gonna trust that it's gonna stay that way, right?
Yes.
And even if it doesn't, we're still going to have a fantastic day.
Yes.
So.
Registration starts at 9 a.m.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If you're watching us streaming live tonight, at the top of my post is the link to register to see more about the event. So that's on the top of, or you can go to Annie Clark page. You can also go to...
our website is kind of long, but it's www.afsp.org/Traverse City. Very easy website to navigate through. You can register there. We really would like you to pre-register if you can, but you can also register Saturday morning.
Okay.
If you are pre-registered, we still need you to check in at registration because we need to keep track of our numbers for next year's walk.
Okay.
So beginning at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And we want you to get there early if possible. We all know if you're from Traverse City or near Traverse City, you know that parking could be a little bit difficult. Mm-hmm. We have the amazing farmers market going on across the street from us that morning. We are encouraging people, if you can park in the cherry lot at the NMC College and just take a short walk to the Beta bus stop there for the Bayline bus. That starts running at 7 a.m. and you can catch that. It's a free ride, obviously, and they are willing. They just have their small 30 passenger buses, but I talked to them today and they said that they're willing to add the larger buses for us. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and then Bill Marsh Jr., Bill Marsh Auto, and Golden Fowler Home Furnishings are our top sponsors again this year. And this morning, Bill Marsh Jr. said that he would also have a 12-passenger van for us, for people that are parking at the college, and they will be shuttling back and forth too. So amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, because there are 900. How many are signed up? 900?
Well, we have, yes. We hope to have 1,000 by Saturday. But yes, 901 and I think 100 teams. Yes, we have a team area this year. You can bring a tent and a canopy and have a team area with pictures and be there with your team too. So yeah, it's going to be an amazing day. We have, just like last year, check in at 9, and then between 9 and 10:40 we have several vendors that you can visit, and then we have activities for remembrance and hope. You can bring an enlarged picture of your loved one and make a poster at our poster making tent. We have rock painting, paint a rock to bring home, a grid wall that you can bring a picture of your loved one with a note and place up there for display. And then at 10:45 we have a very short but very powerful opening ceremony. And then at 11 o'clock we step the walk off from the open space and take our message of hope right through downtown.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You're number 2, lady. Doesn't seem like that long ago we were sitting right here.
Right? I know. I don't know where this summer went. We've been working very hard since about February
Sure.
on this, and it's just now 2 days away.
something that I've experienced with getting to know you and Ron and my friend Michelle Crum with Walk for Wishes, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and again, a lot of the social service agencies that I've worked with, and is volunteers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I have several clients, female clients of mine, that volunteer at the State Theater. They volunteer for Film Festival. They volunteer at Father Fred's. They volunteer, and it's a big deal. Without the support of volunteers, so much of this couldn't happen.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to make note, if you want to say anything on behalf of volunteers, and it really takes, how many volunteers do you have?
Right now, we have over 100 signed up.
Right.
Yes, and that's, I think we're 91% full for our volunteers. So that,
Right.
I mean, it's
Right.
a lot of volunteers, and we need them. We wouldn't
Right.
be able to do this. And the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is a grassroots effort. It's all
Right.
grassroots, and it's all volunteer, and they wouldn't have these walks nationwide if we didn't
Right.
have volunteers. If Ron and I weren't volunteering to be chair and to have the committee that are all volunteers also.
Right.
So absolutely, very, very important, our volunteers, and we appreciate every one of them.
Well, and thank you to Chris Warren and everyone at Z93, because they sponsor things for us. They allow Andrea and I to be here to, they open this space to Andrea and I to put out the message, to be there to support people. And that's allowed us to have you on, to have Michelle on, to have Clary Walker on. We had our bicycle friend, Robert Burrows,
Yes.
who is now committed to making bikes for kids with disabilities.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he puts out, oh my Lord, I don't even know how many bikes a year he puts out. At Christmas, he's over at the old Cherryland Mall lot giving out bicycles on Christmas Day. So we have a super, and I don't think we're just speaking for our community. I think there's many community, I'd like to believe that this happens all over the world. So I just like to bring up the volunteers and all of our sporting events and the Iceman, and I mean, there's volunteers constantly to help make these things happen.
Yeah,
So
they wouldn't happen without volunteers, for sure.
we have our clap button.
Do we?
Do
Ooh,
it.
Girl.
Come on, girl.
All right, can we talk about something else while I figure that out?
You got it. You got it. We're gonna get a little applause.
Oh, awesome.
A little applause
Very
for
cool.
the volunteers. Yeah.
Give them a big hooray.
Not
hurrah,
bad, huh?
hurrah.
Good job. Andrea's been running the boards now.
Yeah, she told me that. That's very exciting.
It is exciting. It's so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
It
She
is.
just gets us all dialed in over
It
there.
is so much fun, but I have to be super serious. So
I just want to let everyone know also the phone lines are open, and you can call in, you can share if you have any questions. You can call into 231-929-HITS, 231-929-4487 here at Z93 Today's Best Hits. You can also text in. Andrea will get your text to 70236. And if you're a first-time texter, text Z93join to 70236. And we are going to go to a commercial break. We have a caller, and caller will pick you up and keep you on hold. And we'll be right back. Thank you. Now,
929-4487. That's 929-4487. More Lifelines with Adam Clark coming up in minutes.
okay. So we're still streaming live on Facebook. Hi,
Okay.
everyone. And everyone, we have people watching right now. So we are on commercial break. And during the commercial break, I don't stop the live stream.
Okay.
And so we just chat with everyone online for a moment.
All right. Hi, everyone.
And for those of you who may have just joined us, hi Becky. This is Janine Wardy, and her husband Ron's right around the corner. And they are here tonight. They are chairpersons and volunteers for, I can hardly, you're like the big deal that helps get all this taken care of. I'm going to call them presidents of Traverse City's Out of the Darkness Walk,
Right?
and
which is this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say July
We're
14th.
coming back.
I wish it was July.
I feel
still,
like it's Cherry
right?
Festival every time we're up here.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I'm looking for the midway down there. And
Thanks so much, Kenzie.
They are, so the walk is this Saturday,
Mhm.
September 14th.
Yes.
At the open space. And on my post right there, at the top of my post, not only is there links to anything that pertains to our show and our podcasts and an event Andrea and I are doing, but at the very top is the link for the Out of the Darkness walk. And that will get you to their website, and you can get all the information right off this post on
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes. Mhm.
And then I'll let everyone know when we get back on the air that they can go to Annie Clark page too.
Oh, great.
And
Good.
I will, you can only tag on the top on my professional page, but we only have a couple days, so will you make a note to have Holly, or me, I can repost it on my page.
Yeah.
But it's only about 3 posts down on my page, so
Okay,
we'll
awesome.
make that announcement too, because Annie Clark
Fantastic.
page is easy to
Yeah.
catch on to
Okay.
too, so they can get through.
Great.
So thank you everyone on Facebook for joining us. We are
Yes.
going to be back on the air in just a moment, and we're going to continue to talk with Janine, and I have a few questions for you as well.
Sure.
And
Hopefully I can answer them.
I'll bet you can. If
Okay.
you can't, then we'll just make Ron do it.
Right.
Go for
They'll
it.
figure it out.
Janine, I
Hi,
have to
Mom.
talk to you about your
You know we're online, right?
photography. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
It is otherworldly.
Mm.
I just so appreciate you sharing that with everybody, because it's so, you just can feel
Thank you.
the light within it.
And I do find light in it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely therapy for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that it touched you.
It repeatedly.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And you know what that means if it's touching her.
Yeah.
If you're touching one, you're touching many.
That's right. Amen.
It's
right?
so true. Every time we have a caller in on the show, like we had Ruby call, and then Austin called, and then somebody will text and say, thank you for that person reaching out, and gosh, it's like crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You never know who you're going to touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what you're going to touch them with.
Mm-hmm.
Who needs a touch?
Right. Yeah, or who you need to touch, exactly.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lifelines, our 60th broadcast here on Z93, today's best hits. We are talking tonight about the Out of the Darkness walk, which is this Saturday, September 14th, and this is the second annual. And we have Janine Wardy and her husband Ron right around the corner for support tonight. We're going to maybe get him on camera and live if we can. We'll
He's
see.
in the corner where he belongs.
And we had the pleasure of meeting Ron and Janine last year, and it was the inaugural Out of the Darkness walk, and had a massive turnout,
Yes.
5 times what they expected,
Yes.
in raising funds and walkers.
Mm-hmm.
And this year they've hit their mark again. They just hit
900.
900.
We're at $90,000 in
Yes.
our fundraising. Today we just hit the $90,000 mark.
And I got to see Janine almost fall off her chair.
I know, isn't that great?
And then she got a
Amazing.
tear, and then I got a tear, and so yeah, $90,000, 60. How do you say that?
$90,000.
90,000
Yes, go ahead.
63. You're not used to saying that.
I know.
mean, my bank account's usually like that, and it's easier, but 90,000 plus $63.27. 912 participants and 101 teams.
Yes.
Which is incredible. So this is our second year with having them as our guests on Z93, and we're super, super happy to continue to support and spread the word. And will you just give just a brief for those who are joining us again, just a little bit about you and Ron?
Sure.
And
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, our life's passion changed 4 years ago when we lost our 25-year-old son, Zechariah, to suicide. He was dealing with the darkness of his mental illness, severe depression, and unfortunately lost his battle with his illness. We miss him we miss him a ton. And we learned very early on that loss to suicide can be very isolating and can make you feel very alone. And we learned that there are a lot of what ifs and whys with that. We never really had the why because we knew that Zach was ill.
Right.
And we know why, right?
Right.
But if we have the answers to the what ifs and the whys, we wouldn't have Zachariah back. So we decided to say what would Zachariah want us to be doing now? And we decided early on to become passionate advocates for mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And we got involved with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and that's what they do. They have a message to save lives and to bring help and hope to those that have been touched by suicide. And we are very, very passionate about talking about mental illness,
Right.
and normalizing the conversation around mental illness. We all need to be talking about it as much as we talk about our physical health.
Thank you. And that's, as I had mentioned before, that's thank you to Chris Warren for letting us have our show Lifelines. And one of our main purposes for Lifelines is for people to be able to call in on behalf of themselves and let out whatever's going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be something, it can be anything, because every single day everybody has some kind of a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They're either worried about finances, or they've just had a divorce, or worse, or not as bad, but there's always something. And what's that?
And we have a caller on the line right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. No, it was a good lead-in, especially
I
if you didn't know
apologize.
that.
I thought, well, I saw, but I thought you said bye-bye. I thought they
No.
asked, okay, well, I apologize, caller. Go ahead.
Okay, well, we have Kenzie on the line. Kenzie, if you'll hold on just a second, I'm going to get you on. Kenzie, are you there? Hi, Kenzie. She may have dropped off.
I had no idea. Kenzie, if you're still listening, please call back. We'll put you right on the air. Yes, I apologize, Andrea. I apologize. We'll see if she's still on the air. But I saw Andrea talking, and then I thought she said okay and just answered a question. So
Yes, please call back.
yes, Kenzie, if you're out there, please call back. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
You went like that, and that didn't tell me anything.
You thought, cool, dude.
I thought, cool. You know, there's somebody on the phone. So again, Kenzie, if you're out there, please call us back. We'll put you right on the air. We apologize for that. So
Well, we have had a couple of different questions come in over text, and one of the questions was asking about the donations. Where do the donations specifically go?
Sure. Well, 50% of the donations stay right here in Northern Michigan for education, our education pieces. We have several different education pieces that we can bring into schools. Any type of a business organization. We're talking about having possibly a town hall with one of our programs called Talk Saves Lives, and it's an education training everybody on how to see the signs that somebody might be either heading into crisis or are already in crisis, and what we need to do to help them. 80% of those that are suicidal reach out in some way or form, and we miss it or dismiss it. So we need to get everybody educated on those signs. So the rest of the money goes nationally for education, for advocacy, for research. What am I forgetting, Ron? Anything else?
The programs that they develop.
Yeah, the different programs. But last year we were blessed to use some of the money at some of the local schools here in Northern Michigan, and it is our committee's goal this year to get every penny spent. We are going to be knocking at doors all over Northern Michigan, not just here in Traverse City, but in getting our programs into these schools. And it's not just for the students and administration and staff, it's for parents too.
yes,
We can absolutely do that too. So that's what the money goes for.
And I'm curious, when you talk about that typically people do reach out, is there a statistic as to who they reach out to
more often than not? Is it a parent? Is it a friend?
I don't know if there's an exact statistic saying who they reach out to, but obviously social media is a huge thing.
Right.
We need to be watching those posts, and sometimes they may not be friends with a family member, and so if you see a post that touches your gut, go with your gut. Don't
Right.
ignore it. Don't keep it inside your head. You need to get a hold of a trusted family member and let that family member know that, hey, this person has posted something that just isn't good, isn't right, is sounding that they may be in crisis, and we need to partner up with them and see what we can do to help them. So social media is huge, obviously. If they're talking about, life-threatening, don't just brush it off, because...
Well, there's a lot that goes on.
Yes.
There's a lot that goes on when somebody witnesses something, whether they're witnessing abuse or they're witnessing bullying or they're witnessing somebody who is clearly not in a good, what seems to be clearly not in a good space, or a post on social media, and in that, didn't mean to grab you there.
It's okay. Funny.
But that I have friends and acquaintances who are school counselors, and they're all mandated reporters, and I have shared conversations where they say it's very vulnerable when you need to reach out and say something, and if they don't and they're found out, they'll lose their job. And one person I was talking to one time said, it's as crazy as it may sound, it's not my job to decide whether somebody, whether whatever is going on is valid or invalid, no matter what the case is, from the bullying or abuse or depression, or somebody you think may be in that spot, but it is my job to report it. And there's a lot of things that run through people's heads, and what if they're wrong, and what are the neighbors going to say, and what if, and we're not really that conscious of it. So in those defining moments, it can be very challenging. We do, and then the other thing, like you say, we miss it, and sometimes we miss it because of that. We don't really hear that voice of that vulnerability, because it's on one hand, it's our responsibility, but if it were so easy, everybody would be speaking up all the time, whether you are the victim or the advocate.
Right.
And so it's easier said than done when just do this or just do that or just do this or just empathize with someone and don't try to fix it. And it takes, and that's why I'm so glad that you have education, which I want to hear more about.
Yes.
And you guys can come on this show any time.
Thank you.
You want to get into a school, you have something going on with the education, because without it, we can have walks all day long, right?
Absolutely, and the rates will continue to rise.
The rates will continue to rise.
Unfortunately, they are rising.
Yes.
So yes, the education is so important, because we need to get every person educated on those signs. And suicide is the second leading cause of death for our youth from age 14 to 24. Second leading cause. And 90% of those that die by suicide at the time of their suicide have a diagnosable mental illness. So if we can get those people, those very hurting, people feeling very hopeless, if we can get them to say that they need help, let them know that it's okay to reach out for help, and get them the help that they desperately need, we can save their lives.
Right.
And people don't want to talk about it. We talk about every other organ in our body being sick or being broken, but when it comes to talking about our brain being broken, it's shh, don't talk about it.
Right. Well, and I've experienced, and it's I am not a parent. I am a guardian of someone. I am an advocate for kids. Andrea and I, as you know, do a lot of coaching, and there are a lot of people who feel very alone, and I have 126 female friends that that are my clients, and many of them have talked about, I knew my son was this, and and I was so proud of her for admitting it. She said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm a top professional in this town, and my child had problems, and I was afraid to take them somewhere because somebody would find out. And I praised her for owning it and saying it. And so my heart goes out to parents too, because no one wants to think, no matter what anyone says, you can be blaming yourself and afraid yourself, and you don't know how to handle it. So as much as it is important to encourage and support and normalize speaking up, I feel like support people like parents and siblings and teachers, and when they can be more educated, that not everything's your fault and not everything you know how to fix.
Right.
And if you made a mistake, remember, we're all supposed to fail forward. You're going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And you didn't see something, and maybe you did yell, or maybe you did, but everything's forgivable. And
Absolutely.
so the vulnerability with adults is very high.
Very high. Yes.
It's very high.
I agree.
And so Andrea and I, we're coaching a whole family right now, and we're getting ready to coach another family, because your child can be getting help and counseling and whatnot, but it's a family system. And my heart goes out to parents, because they're very vulnerable, that they caused this or they did this, and it's horrible. But if they can't regulate their emotions around there, they can't their kids, they can't support either. And so I believe that that's a contributing factor with everything. And so I strongly encourage, go to my Annie Clark page. We will continue, if you'll get me the information on any education
Absolutely.
for parents,
Well,
for
and
anyone.
We've had a question come in, and the question is, in your opinion, what are the best ways to prevent or deter suicide?
Well, I think that making people believe that they are important, we live in such a fast-paced world now, and people don't take time out and give compliments, or let people know that they're important, or let people know that they're special and that they matter and that they are loved. So I think it's important that we're kind to each other, right?
Sure.
In a lot of cases too, I'm just thinking about the walk, that again, going back to feeling very isolated or feeling very alone, whether you've lost someone to suicide or you're dealing with the darkness of your mental illness. Finding somebody that has lived experience. That's what this walk is also about. Being with a group of over 1,000 people that have lived experience, that are going to understand you and are not going to judge you. They're going to love you and make you feel important and make you feel good about yourself. And we are going to offer hope that day. We hope that everyone leaves that day being filled with hope. I don't know if that answers the question or not.
Yes, and I notice as I'm looking at you that both you and Ron have hope on your t-shirts.
Yes,
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we all need hope. This is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, one of their shirts. And again, the walk is a walk for hope. And if we don't have hope, we don't have a whole lot, Right. When I think about my son, and when I think about his last minutes, in the hopelessness that he must have been feeling. And I've been there. I've dealt with severe depression my entire life. I fought it my entire life, and I'm in a good spot, and I know how to fight out of that darkness.
Right.
I'm not ashamed at all to say that I take medication, and that is a medication that keeps me alive.
Right.
Just like if you have to have insulin or a heart, for high blood pressure, it's no different. It's no different. The organ in my body that is broken is my brain. It's not my heart. It's not any other organ. So, we need to hold on to hope, and we need to offer hope. I was at a conference really early on, and I think it was somebody from Michael's Place here in Traverse City that said, you can say to someone that is in crisis, I understand that you are feeling hopeless right now. Let me hold on to hope for you until you can find it again, or
Right.
until we can help you find it again. And I
Right.
thought that was really great.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Would you read the question again, Andrea?
Sure. It was, in your opinion, what are the best ways to prevent or deter suicide?
May I speak?
Yes, absolutely.
To add on to what Janine has said, as I have supported, I'm learning the right vocabulary.
Good, because we all need to.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to be vulnerable. I have supported someone who does self-harm, who is very young, and more than one. And the one thing that I have found is I have to, in order for someone to role model being important, and
Yes.
that I matter. And I think that's a big piece. If I can sit here and tell you, you matter all day long, Janine, but if you see me and I don't have self-care and I don't have any boundaries,
Yes.
and I'm running myself ragged, and the busy thing,
Be a good
the
role
busy
model.
thing, right, being a good role model. I think sometimes somebody looks at somebody and says, you know, you're the example of what I have to live for, and I'm not saying that
Yeah,
directly,
yeah.
you know, but role modeling what you want somebody to feel about themselves. It's a cliche and it's a quote, but it's true, that being that person. And so when I'm with the younger generation, or with anyone, which I am frequently, I have to make sure that I'm walking the walk.
Yes.
No pun intended.
No. Absolutely.
So otherwise, and when I am doing that, I have so much more space for them. And when you talk about being busy, when you're over busy, we as human beings become, I don't mean conceited when I say self-absorbed, but we're so helpless ourselves because we're not meeting our own needs, that we don't have a lot for someone else. So I've seen in situations where someone else's state of mind or condition, it can be physical, it can be mental, is one, not a very emotional, comfortable spot for someone who's in their system. And it's also, we don't have time for it when we're struggling ourselves.
Right.
And so I think that's also, I know, and this may be a vulnerable conversation for some people to hear. I just have learned that I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything, but I'm not going to not speak truthfully, because it is scary to speak truthfully. However, a lot of times we miss it, and maybe not in the way you're talking about, because we don't know what to do as a husband, as a parent, as a best friend. And do you know, after we left your show last time, we had someone who was listening to the show and went and had a moment with someone, and Andrea and I, it was either the week after, we were giving some feedback on how to support someone to hold their pain, and don't tell them they're the bright side, and don't tell them they're so strong, and blah blah blah. And that person practiced just saying, I'm sorry, I'm here, I'm listening. And that person pulled themselves right out of the darkness.
Awesome.
Right in front of their very eyes. That same night, someone shared with someone that they were thinking of taking their life by suicide. And they heard our show, and you guys were here. I forgot to tell you that.
It's amazing. And that just confirms that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right?
And somebody was listening to our show, and they practiced very vulnerably, sitting very uncomfortably, and supporting someone coming out of the darkness in that very moment. And by the end of the conversation that she was just listening, the friend said that they thought that they could reach out for help. And so I'm a huge, I'm a huge advocate. We lost someone, we lose kids at school. Just before school ended last year, it was Greenspire. And I put a post out there. I am trained on helping people be empathetic listeners and be able to hold someone's pain, because it is not comfortable. It is not comfortable, but when you see the results, it is much more comfortable to move through practicing that than it is feeling responsible or trying to fix it or trying to just tell somebody, it's your first response. It's like, no, you're awesome and you're so strong and you have so much going on and you have such a great family. And that 9 out of 10 times is going to disconnect a person.
Yeah.
It's going to disconnect them and they're going to go right back in the alone zone. And so as much as we need support for those with mental health conditions and of various kinds, equally we need people trained to know how to support it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
It's whether you're at a funeral, whether you run into a friend and they've gained 50 pounds, whether it's somebody who is uncomfortable, who's self-harming, you don't know what to do. And I believe that Andrea and I spoke about it last week, and because we speak about stuff like this every week, and I believe that if there was more effort put into people being able to hold their own pain, number one, because when you can hold your own pain, right, you can hold someone else's, okay? And even for those who aren't fortunate enough to have been through what they've needed to go through or put themselves into positions to be able to hold their own pain, you can still teach someone to hold someone else's. And until that gets increased, I believe it would make a huge impact. I mean, last week Andrea and I were like, if 90% of people, just like CPR, were trained to be empathetic listeners and to help hold people's pain and let them find their way out and support them and do that, I think it would have a huge, I don't even think, I know. It's like a math equation. It would have a huge impact. So any education, that's what Andrea and I are doing. Any education, same thing, just different title. You can call it empathetic listening. You can call it being a support person. But most of us don't know how to support, and we get uncomfortable and we just don't know what to say, and so
sometimes we
go,
say too much,
you think,
right? Sometimes we say way too much, so we need to sometimes we just need to listen.
Yes,
we just need to move in, get nice and close, and just listen and validate their feelings, validate what they're feeling and what they're going through, and let them know that you understand and that it's okay not to be okay. And then in turn letting them know that it's okay to reach out and get some help. Right?
But in those moments, like right now you and I can talk about it, and this is what we coach on. But in those defining moments, without we do experiential exercises where people sit and we role play, and it's like rehearsing, because no matter what, until somebody in those defining moments, you just got to let that go. You just got to do this. You just can't beat yourself up, okay? But without, and so that's where when there's more education, especially when there's experiential education, and we give people scripts, and they're like, oh my gosh, wow, and we have them do it with themselves, empathetic listen, and it's made a huge difference for the 50 plus people that we've had in our program.
Well, and I'm wondering too if you ladies would be open to doing a little bit of role play right now, because I think that would certainly be very, very helpful to role model for our listeners what it looks like. And Andrea's usually my role player with me, so I gotta you're not going to be jealous, are you?
Maybe we should switch spots and I'll do the board.
No. Yeah, right. Ron will do the board. How about, well, it's your choice. I was going to say I'll play the empathetic. I can play the support person, or you can.
How about I be the you be the support person?
Okay. Okay. So I'm just gonna off the cuff it. So what we're doing, if you don't mind getting just a little, we can carefully pull it towards you a little bit if you like.
Yeah, I'm good.
She's kicking back, putting her feet
I know.
up. I'm like, I'm all really. I know it's easy once you get on the air, right?
Right.
So what Janine and I are going to do is I'm going to play the support person. Brilliant idea, Andrea. I'm going to play.
I can't wait to see it, because it is so powerful.
Yes.
To really listen and feel the example from both sides.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Observing it.
Yes, thank you, ladies, for doing it.
And what I want you to do is to keep going. Okay. And so this can be any problem someone has, any struggle someone's facing. It can be the loss of a job, okay, that we're a little more into it right now, a little bit deeper, but this works. This is supporting anything. So so I'm going to play the support person, and Janine's going to be the one, I'm just going to say, struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go. Hey.
Hey. I'm really struggling. I'm dealing with a lot of darkness, and nobody seems to understand. Everyone thinks that it's just something that I'll get over, or that I should get over. Everyone says, "Oh, just get over it. You'll be okay." But I'm feeling a lot of darkness in my life right now, and I can't seem to shake it, and I haven't been able to shake it for a long time, and it just seems like things are unraveling. Every day I wake up and I feel like I'm in a deeper, darker hole, and the more I claw to get out, it seems like I slip further down in, and no one seems to understand.
I am sorry. I am sorry. I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No one seems to understand, and a lot of people have said that they're there, and I just continue to feel kind of unvalidated.
Yeah. How can I support you right now? What do you need? What do you think you need in this moment?
I guess I need to know that I have a reason to go on, a reason to continue with my existence. I feel like I'm just existing. I don't feel like I'm living. I'm just existing.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, and I'm here to listen. Do you have any support people? Have you reached out to? It sounds like you have reached out, but you have felt like you haven't been heard.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Even my family doesn't understand. I don't really have, and I really don't have a support system.
Are you open to maybe after we sit for a little while, maybe just considering we can look at a couple things to maybe just take a small step?
Sure.
Because I have some resources, and I'm really sorry. And unfortunately, the ones that are our family and friends and whatnot, the ones that are closest to us, I'm sorry that they haven't been able to support you in the way that you're needed, because that happens, unfortunately. And
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah. And I so feel for that. I've actually been there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already
So I
feeling
hear
better.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to be validated, and to know that someone understands that what I'm going through is real.
Even if I didn't understand, it's still real.
Thank
Even
you.
if I didn't understand, which I do, but it's still real, and it is valid.
Thank you.
And I am sorry, like I said, with friends and family, and it can really be misleading because they do care. I mean, maybe there are some that don't care, but the average family does care, but they don't know what to do, and they're uncomfortable, and they don't know how to fix it, and it can really leave a person feeling really alone.
Yes.
And so I'm so happy that we had this time together today, and that you spoke out about it. But it's just one thing that I've learned, and I'll just share it with you if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I've learned that I've had to be very selective about who I reach out for help with or to. And can I speak just a little bit about my experience with that?
Sure.
Because I felt more and more disconnected and more isolated, and I felt like if I had breathing tubes coming out of me and I was in a wheelchair, people would know, but people would be uncomfortable when I would try to bring something up. And so I was either going to hate the world or feel really bad, or I started to learn that there are people that know how to support, and can help you help yourself. And a lot of times it's because we're the people that we care about aren't able to support us the way we need to be supported. So maybe at some point, I'm not saying right now, you might be able to forgive that or see that, but right now what's most important is you,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you. I need to know.
Just a little important in there?
Yeah,
Just a sliver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
needed to hear that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, no one can give us our value
No.
like we can. But people can support you and show you your value so that you can carry it on your own, right?
Yes.
So we can look into a couple resources, and until then, any support that I'm able to give you, I have to leave it up to you to reach out. All right, I'll reach out once or twice.
Okay.
If you want me to.
Okay.
Okay.
I may need you to.
You got to meet me halfway. Okay.
I may need you to.
Okay. If you do, thank you for your honesty. Okay. Yeah. And I'm willing to listen a little more to just develop maybe a little bit of trust, because I can't read your mind,
Thank you.
but there isn't anything I can't listen to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I already feel better.
Good. Hug?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you.
You smell good. You're not supposed to smell good being so down and out. What the heck, man? Jeez.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you.
It
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that and for showing us, showing our listeners, just, both sides of it, actually. Really beautiful. So, Janine, when you were doing this, and were you really feeling better in regard to the type of support?
There was keywords that you said. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's funny how even when you're role playing, Andrea and I were role playing about how you tell your family members that you've been having up with their dogs for weeks upon weeks in the summertime that you haven't been honest and that it's not working. And she role played, and she was upset as my sister and her dog. We were role playing. And by the time we got done with the conversation, she's like, I feel so much better because we don't get to spend time together, and I have to leave my dog at home. And we were role playing, and it was just when you have that dialogue and you're able to hold your own and be
you're
able
so
to be there.
sincere. You
Right.
know, from the minute I met you, I knew that you were very sincere,
Right.
both of you. And, we have to have those sincere people in our
Right.
life, not those people that have that fake facade, that
Right.
are really, truly there to support.
Okay. And that's the thing. I was in the dark for about 2 years straight. And when you talk about hope, I wasn't self-harming, and I didn't have thoughts of suicide for myself. But nonetheless, I remember telling my parents, if I'm not here, I had the PTSD and the identity crisis. I said, I won't take my life, but I will be living in a tree because I can't see. I had no hope. I had no hope. And if somebody said, look how far you've come, or you have so much, it made it worse.
Yes, yeah.
It made it worse because what it said to me is, you have no idea where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because if you did, you wouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
And I never, ever, ever. I look at homeless people, and so many of them have set themselves free, and they wouldn't go back to where they were to save their life. But I know what it's like to literally not being able to see anything being different tomorrow for a long time.
And
I'm
you're still
very
here.
lucky. I know.
I'm so glad
I
you're
know.
still here.
And so that's one thing, because of feeling so alone and like a child when I couldn't even go in public for 2 years except for work and home. That was a lot of my training, because I was that person for different reasons. And so now that's part of why we do what we do, is to help other people.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have to wrap up the show. You're welcome to come on this show anytime.
Thank you.
And absolutely, I want to thank you for being here. So if you go to Annie Clark Facebook page, you can get the link to register and sign up for the Out of the Darkness walk this Saturday, September 14th at the open space, and second annual. And what else? We got about 10 seconds, so go for it.
Well, just very quickly,
Yeah.
if you are someone that is in crisis right now, or if you know somebody that's in crisis, we need you to call the crisis line. and that's 1-800-273-8255. There's somebody on the other side of that line waiting to talk to you and offering you hope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And you can also Google that
Yes,
line.
absolutely.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So thank you, Janine. Thank you,
you.
Ron. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you,
Everyone
Andrea.
for joining us this evening. I'm Annie Clark, and
Wow.
this is life, people. So we will be back next week, and thank you for joining us on Lifelines here at Z93 Today's Best Hits.